If you've got a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show great. And we thrive on your energy and insights, whether it is a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion. You just have to share. Don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Now, if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the dollar at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can also go to gsmcsportsnetwork.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We have to move on to talk about the expectations for Manchester United after signing the Ligt in Mazraoui to the football club. Manchester United, it's going to be a tough season coming up for them after the disappointing season they had last season, not being able to make top four. I believe they got 8th place last season with 18 wins, 6 draws, 14 losses, with 60 points. Not a good season for them overall. They had a -1 goal difference, and overall it was just not good enough. From Manchester United, they were severely injury plagued throughout the season. Players going on key positions all over the pitch, one of the more injury-ravaged teams in the league, but they were able to win the FA Cup at the end of the season to kind of put some sort of cherry on top of, not a good cake, but on top of the cake to close off the season. But overall, I will say Manchester United, they have a chance in this season to build off on some positive momentum over not only the FA Cup win, but over the fact that they've won, since Ten Hag came in, this is a club that's won 2 trophies in 2 seasons up to this point. So they have a chance to build some sort of momentum based on that, which they can use that to go on the positive sort of direction that this club is looking to do under this new Ineos footballing operations. Now, going back though, United haven't had the most strong transfer windows in general over this summer. We expected, major changes, not just from players coming in, but players going out. Players going out of the club, and they've gotten a little bit busy over the past few weeks, being able to sign the likes of Matthijs de Ligt, Mazraoui, Lenny Yoro, which has been the big one, Joshua Zirkzee, the Bologna player, and they've also been able to let go of the likes of the Wan-Bissakas, Wan-Bissaka mostly. They let go. They sold Mason Greenwood for a decent transfer sum, but that one was not really a player that that was a player that they were forced to offload. They needed to get him out this summer. We know the atmosphere and the temperature regarding that situation. We're not going to touch it highly, but yes. But the main thing is they've been able to bring in a guy like Lenny Yoro and Matthijs de Ligt that has potential, alongside Lisandro Martinez, to be a good, solid center-back rotation there amongst those three. I think those three, there's some quality there. There's some ability there. They're all players that are comfortable playing out of the back. They're all good defenders one-on-one. So I like what they done there. Then you also have Harry Maguire and Lindelof just for extra protection one of those two would probably would have been let go if Lenioro did not get injured. But now with Lenioro being injured, they're probably gonna keep those two. But you have a solid core there. You're able to bring in Mazraoui, that can provide as depth for Dalot, so you solve that right back issue. I think you're getting an upgrade in Mazraoui over Wan-Bissaka in terms of one-on-one defending. Yes, Wan-Bissaka is decent, but I think overall Mazraoui is a better player. I think Mazraoui is better defending off the ball, as a pure marking his man, let alone rather than just one-on-one defending, which I think Wan-Bissaka has the advantage there. But apart from that, going forward, it's not even close. Mazraoui has really good ability. He went up in the Ajax system. He's good in possession. He can be the right back of a team that can dominate possession. They're not going to be able to do what teams do with Wan-Bissaka and give him time and space. You're not going to do that with Mazraoui because he has the ability to threaten you. I think the Xerxes deal is kind of because he's another guy. He's another forward like Rasmus Højlund that has some pure talent in terms of there's some potential there. With Rasmus Højlund, he has the ability to stretch, has pace. Xerxes has that real quality, has that real threat, and for him also play to be in going behind, but doesn't get enough goals. This is another player like Rasmus Højlund that didn't get double-digit goals. He got Xerxes had 9 goals in Bologna. He's similar in terms of there's not much production in terms of being able to get the ball in the back of the net like Højlund. So that's a major concern in the fact that the two forwards that United has right now are not proven goal scorers at any sort of level, let alone at this elite level. Højlund, he didn't really take the Serie A over in terms of his production in front of goal. Same thing with Xerxes. I think there's question marks there. I think there's question marks with the inconsistency of some of the players in the squad, specifically Marcus Rashford. When United are playing at their best, Marcus Rashford is at their best. When United are terrible, Marcus Rashford is terrible. Or maybe you could argue that the other way around. When Rashford is at his best, United are really, really good. When Rashford is at his worst, United are really, really bad. At the end of the day, you can't rely on whether or not Marcus Rashford is good form, not good form. If he doesn't get off to the strongs, if he doesn't get off to a strong start to the season the same way he was able to get a year ago now. The first season was Erik ten Hag. You got players like Ahmad and Garnacho that give you a little bit something different, that has ability there. Ahmad has a brilliant preseason. We know that what Garnacho can be. Rashford has not been good enough. Sancho, he's still involved. He's still part of this team right now. He's still kind of in the doghouse with Erik ten Hag. But specifically with Rashford, he has to be at that level or he should not be playing. So there's question marks with the consistency of the front three. In terms of the midfield, we saw Casemiro, not the downfall, because I think it's a little bit too early. It's a little bit too early to say downfall. I want to give him the season to see, whether he can get back to form. Players are, they're excused to one bad season here and there. At the end of the day, I thought Casemiro was really good in Ten Hag's first season. So I'm going to give him the benefit of that out there, and I'm going to wait for this season to really determine whether or not it's time for him to leave football, as other people have said. But there's question marks there with Casemiro, if he's able to hold it down, if he's able to be that composed conductor the way Rodri is for Manchester City. There's questions there based on what we saw last season. Mason Mount, another player, he just has not gotten on the right foot since he's been at Manchester United. And again, the Community Shield, he was not good enough, didn't pick out the right balls, looked very unconfident. It was very alarming to see that sort of Mason Mount. Christian Eriksen, he's getting a little bit older. There's some question marks in that midfield, and that midfield has not been a place that they have addressed in the transfer window. They've addressed the attacking side with Mazraoui. They addressed defensively with 2 center backs in Mazraoui. But in part of the midfield, They haven't addressed that. And then also on top of that, Onana, which Onana are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the Onana at Inter Milan that was one of the catalysts to lead that team into the Champions League final? Or are we gonna get the Onana that we saw that first season at Manchester United? That was a mistake waiting to happen, game in, game out. You know, what Andre Onana are we going to see? That's also another big question mark. Now, what are the reasonable expectations for Manchester United? I think reasonable expectations, you got to expect this team to reach top four. This is Manchester United at the end of the day. The pedigree amongst this club. You want progression. This is third year at Erik ten Hag. Usually the third year is when the managers are able to take their team to the next level. You should reasonably expect top four. I don't think you should expect much above that, in the fact that they haven't drastically improved during the transfer window. They're suffering injuries again, with Yoro being out for a few months, Højlund being out for a few weeks. That same old story of United suffering injuries. So I don't think you can expect anything more than that. But apart from it, in terms of, reasonable expectation, I think you should expect top four. I think you should expect a good run in the Europa League. I believe they'll be playing in the Europa League because they won the FA Cup. Yeah, a good run in the Europa League, and then it's really a wait and see. It's interesting, It's interesting to see if there's some sort of continuity and there's some sort of collective spirit that this team developed after the last season, the suffering they went through last season, being able to get a lot of their players back. Because Manchester United, they should automatically improve based on last season, just being able to get their players back. There's no way that they have the same sort of injury record that they had last season into this season. If that's the case, that's just extreme bad luck, and really extremely bad luck for Erik ten Hag, because he goes through the injuries he went through last season. He goes through them again this season. 99% he's not a Man United manager. He'll be sacked very, very soon throughout the season, and his head is on the kind of the line. He's one of the main candidates to get sacked. So that's an interesting conversation to have.